Good evening, my YouTube viewer. It is Palestine. Welcome to my channel. And basically, I don't know if you saw my most recent video. And my most recent video, I made a video of the room that I had helped to paint. So basically, my boyfriend was told by the landlord that he had to paint the kitchen. And so he hasn't done anything in the kitchen because he generally eats at my apartment. So he's not done anything in the kitchen to make a mess. But he was told he had to paint the kitchen. And we think it's because there were some marks on the kitchen wall. But he didn't make those marks on the kitchen wall. Those marks were there when he moved in. And so basically, he didn't get anything. The landlord said that he would replace the money for the paint and the paint brushes and the rollers and the masking tape. But obviously, he wasn't going to get paid for any labor. And so yesterday, my boyfriend, my seat friend, and myself, we went and painted all the walls. And this morning, my boyfriend and I went to his apartment and tried to paint the ceiling. But basically, the white paint wasn't usable. It was ruined. So you couldn't use the white paint. So we had to use the magnolia, which was the color that we painted the walls with, because that's what the landlord said they wanted. They said that they wanted magnolia. So we couldn't do anything about it. The white paint was ruined. So now the room is painted all magnolia. And so we did our best. We did our very best. And then my boyfriend found a rod, and he was able to put the roller, the handle of the roller, onto the rod, and he was able to use the roller to paint the ceiling. And then we had to put bin liners everywhere because we're not qualified decorators, so we don't have all the tools necessary to decorate a room. But so in order to keep paint from getting all over the place, we put bin liners on the floor and on the furniture and on the cooking area and in the washing area and on the refrigerator to keep everything from getting paint on it. And we did our very best, considering the fact that we're not qualified decorators. And so I'm sure that the landlord is going to have something to complain about. But since they didn't have to pay for the service, the only thing that they're paying for is the supplies. I think they need to have an attitude of gratitude. And so I spent my bank holiday Monday and Tuesday helping my boyfriend to paint his kitchen, because that's what the landlord wanted. So we'll just have to find out, see what happens in the future, and see, obviously we did our best. If you looked at my previous video showed you our work, because I took a video of all the painting that we did. And so that was what I did in the morning. What I did in the afternoon was we took a bus into town because I don't have any food in my house to make lunch. I could have made a cheese sandwich, but I eat cheese sandwiches every day for my lunch, and I didn't want another cheese sandwich. So we went into town and we went to this Korean street food place, and I had to pay 17 pounds for 2 people to have a little bowl of Korean street food. So it has rice and sweet potato noodles and cabbage, and it has a topping. And I must have had like sweet and sour chicken or something like that, and my boyfriend had beef. And then when we finished that, what we had to do was we had to go to Sainsbury's to get some sandwiches and some drinks. The reason why is because if you watched my videos a few videos ago, I made a video where a friend of mine who has a mental health condition, her mother died, and she didn't get to see her mother before she died, and I hold my friend's sister partly responsible for this because the friend's sister kept telling my friend not to go see her. And so since they kept telling her not to go see her, she didn't. And she didn't know she was going to die. But her mother was like 88. So she didn't know her mother was going to die. This friend has paranoid schizophrenia. She's really drugged up. She's very doped up on psychiatric medication. So she didn't go see her. And I find her sister partly responsible for this, because instead of the sister encouraging my friend to go to the hospital, which was a 10-minute walk from where she lives, she told her not to go see her. So I find my friend's sister partly responsible for my friend not getting to see her mother before she died. And then basically my friend's sister, maybe she's my age, but she really looks down on people with a mental illness. And because she looks down on people with a mental illness or any kind of mental disability for that matter, she's not very nice to my friend. And so my friend didn't get to see her mother before she died, and she was really upset. The mother she had been living somewhere, I don't remember where, but she'd been living somewhere. And then she moved to this town called Woodley, which is about 2 miles away from the town I live in. And it was some kind of supported housing. And today, my friend said that her mother was drinking a lot. She was drinking a lot of wine, and she was drinking gin and tonics as well. And then so she fell. She must have, because she was drinking, she must have lost her balance and fell. So she fell, and then they sent her to the hospital in the town I live in. And this hospital is no more than a 10-minute walk from where my friend lives. My friend lives in supported housing. It's no more than a 10-minute walk from where she lives. So she could have gone to see her. And she was telling me today that she didn't want to go over there because she was afraid to get in a lift. And I told her, I said, they had stairs. You could have taken the stairs. But I didn't want to belabor the issue because my friend was upset enough as it was that her mother had died and she didn't get to see her mother before she died. And then what happened was, then after the mother was in the hospital, they moved her into a care home, a nursing home, which was on the west side of the town that I live in. And I've heard of this care home before. I've heard of it already before. But it is a care home. And then so apparently the mother didn't want to be there. And so the sister rang my friend and told her not to go visit the mother in the care home. And I think my friend is defending her sister and saying that she meant wait a couple of weeks. So my friend is defending the woman that was telling her not to go visit her mother. But anyway, so this mother was in this care home. She didn't want to be there. And so she was saying, get me out of here, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. And I guess the nurses didn't want to hear it. So they gave her some tablets to shut her up. And she never woke up. She went to sleep and she never woke up. And that is how she went. But the thing is she was 88 years old. So we'll just say that her life was shortened. Those tablets shortened her life because she was 88 years old. So she didn't have much longer to go anyway. But she really didn't want to be in the care home. And she was making a fuss. The nurses didn't want to hear it, considered her to be problematic. So they gave her some drugs to make her go to sleep. And she went to sleep and she didn't wake up. And so there's also a big scandal in it. You can do a search on Google, and it was in Hampshire. There was a hospital in Hampshire where they were over prescribing narcotics to elderly patients who they considered to be problematic. And it was a big scandal. If you do a search on Google, it was a hospital in in Hampshire, where they did that, I believe. And so this is quite common, that if you get put in a nursing home or some kind of a care facility and you make waves and you're not able to take care of yourself and you make waves, then what they do is they give you some drugs to shut you up because they don't want to hear it. So that's what I have to look forward to, because I don't have anybody to care for me. And so if I get put in a care home, I have every expectation of being drugged out of my eyeballs, especially since I've been given a diagnosis of a mental illness by the UK government. That's what I have to look forward to, being drugged out of my eyeballs. And so after I went to Sainsbury's and got these sandwiches for the dinner, my autistic friend came over and I gave him the food that I get him from handouts. I get him lots of bread because he likes bread. He won't eat fruits and vegetables, but he likes bread. And then what happened was I cut his hair because I've got some hair clippers. I bought some hair clippers for about 14 pounds at Argos. And so I've been, as a community service, I've been cutting people's hair for them because it's so expensive to get your hair cut. Like this, my hair, I had like maybe that much taken off the length of my hair. It cost me 27 pounds. They didn't wash my hair or anything. It cost me 27 pounds to cut like maybe that much off my hair. And my hair is all one length, so they didn't have to layer it or anything. And they charged me 27 pounds to do like maybe 5 minutes work. And so basically, my hair's not looking exactly the way I would like to look it, because I like it to look, because I was helping my boyfriend paint his kitchen today. And so after my friend left, after I gave him all the food that I got him at a handout and cut his hair for him with my clippers, we went over to my friend's house, the friend whose mother died, and she's living in sheltered accommodation. And so she's living in sheltered accommodation. What she had was she had a celebration of life for her mother. And basically what she did was she made sandwiches. But I brought my own sandwiches and my own drink from Sainsbury's. And the reason why is because she's living in sheltered housing. All the people that live in that house and all her friends, they all have a mental illness. They are all on psychiatric medication. And the thing about that is, if you are on psychiatric medication, it makes you hungry and it makes you want to eat. So pretty much most of the people, all of the people except one person who I saw, is obese, if not morbidly obese. And so I was worried that we were going to get there and they will have eaten all the food, because they have done that before. And so I wanted to bring my own sandwiches and my own drink so I wouldn't sit there hungry, because they'd already eaten it all. And then so we went there and we had this celebration of life. And so she told me that she had been crying on Saturday. And then she also told me that, she'd been crying. And she told me that her mother was drinking, and she thinks that that's what caused her to fall and get put in the hospital in the first place. She was really upset that she didn't get to see her mother before she died. And she said something about her sister. And I just told her, I said, I don't think that your sister's a nice person. But her sister definitely isn't nice to her because she has a mental illness, and her sister treats her just awful because she has a mental illness. And I told her, I said, yeah, my family, they treat me badly too. I told her, I said, I do know what it's like to be discarded because my family has discarded me too. And then so around 7 o'clock or something like that, we came home. Because in the sheltered accommodation, you're not really allowed to stay past 8 o'clock. And then in addition to that, because the people living there are so strongly medicated, they're drugged, is what they are. Well, they get tired, so they just want to sleep because they're so strongly medicated that they just want to sleep. So we left, and then we came home. So that was my day, and I wanted to talk about my friend's celebration of life. I wouldn't really call it a party, but she had sandwiches, and my boyfriend had his tablet, and he was playing the songs that my friend's mother liked to listen to. And so we were playing music and eating sandwiches and drinking Coke. And that was her celebration of life. And I'm really glad that I went to this celebration of life in a sheltered housing complex because it meant a lot to my friend because her mother had died and she didn't get to see her mother before she had died. So that was it for the celebration of life. And now what I wanted to discuss was an update on my mother's health. Apparently, my mother has been moved to another room, which I have stated in a previous video. Well, now she's still on a feeding tube, and she's still on oxygen. She's still on a feeding tube and still on oxygen because she has COPD. And they said that the doctor said that people who have neck injuries often have problems swallowing. And so basically she can't go to a rehab facility. So she was in the emergency room, then she was in ICU. Now she's in another room, which I think is an acute long stay unit. But now they're talking about putting her in a rehab facility. So in the United States, a rehab facility is like a hospital. It's like a nursing home or something like that. So now they're talking about putting my mom in rehab. And so my mom wants to go to this rehab, this Baptist rehab, because it's apparently a really nice rehab. But they don't know if insurance is going to pay for it because it's really nice, but it's also really expensive. And so they don't know if insurance is going to pay for it. So the alternative rehab is going to be a rehab that's on the road that my mother and my stepfather live on. But I'm not going to say the name of that rehab because if I say the name of the rehab, then you're going to know where it is. And I want to protect my mom and my stepdad's privacy. So I can't say the name of the rehab, but it's a second rehab. And so this brings about insurance issues because my mom can't necessarily go to the rehab that she wants to go to because insurance may not pay for it. But she may go to a rehab that's on the road that my mom and my stepdad live on. And I hope that she goes to that rehab because my stepdad will be able to go see her if the rehab is there. So I hope that she goes to the rehab so my stepdad can see her. Because my stepdad is in his late 80s as well. And I'm sure it's difficult for him to be driving around all over the place in his age and his medical condition. So I hope that my mom gets to go to the rehab on the road she lives on so my stepdad can go see her, because apparently he's not managing very well in that big house all on his own. And then so yeah, insurance. I didn't know when I was talking to my sister, because I don't know about insurance, because medical is free at the point of service in the UK. Obviously, you're not going to get you're not going to be staying in the really posh hospitals and things like that, but you are going to be treated medically. And so, according to my sister, she said that it's free, that when you're a senior citizen, that your medical treatment is free. And then she went out, and then she said, no, she was just being sarcastic, that it's not free, that you have to, doesn't matter how old you are, you have to have insurance. And then she said that her husband has topped up his insurance, so he's paying like $500 a month just so he can have this insurance where he doesn't have to have any co-pays or anything like that. And my sister didn't tell me how much her insurance is, because I think they're on separate insurances, because I think one time she said that it would cost him a lot of money if he put her on his insurance. So I think that my sister is getting insurance through her work, but I don't know anything about that because she's not discussed that with me. So, but my mom has insurance, and I didn't know anything about that. So my mom has insurance for herself, but I'm sort of thinking that it's like my stepdad's insurance. That's what I'm thinking. Because apparently when my stepdad was a civil servant, basically, she was always maxing out his insurance policy, going to the doctors all the time. So I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if she has to have her own insurance. But if she does have to have her own insurance, I suspect that my stepdad is paying for it. So I don't know what that deal is either. I don't know if she's on my stepdad's insurance or if she has to have her own insurance. I don't know what that deal is. But so now they're saying that you don't necessarily get to go to the rehab facility that you want to go to, because your insurance company has to decide which rehab facility that you can go to. But, I really am glad that my mom's got insurance, because, if she didn't have insurance, I think she'd be in a lot worse condition. And then so apparently my mom has anxiety and panic attacks. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it's because she's worried about how she's going to pay all of her medical bills, or if she's worried that she's not going to recover. And then I know that my mom says she doesn't know what she's going to do with her life. Well, she's 84. She should have been thinking about that before, but I think she's had this life-changing experience that very nearly killed her. So now I think she's thinking about what she's going to do with her life. So I think I'm probably going to try to call her at the hospital room, and if somebody is there, then they can put the phone to her ear so she can hear me speak to her. And I really am glad that my mom's got insurance. I know she never paid any insurance for her children, and so her children never got any medical care, or minimal medical care. But so I'm glad that she's got insurance for herself. She's doing for herself what she didn't do for me and what she didn't do for my sister. So that concludes this video. I've talked to you about the celebration of life that I went to, talked to you about finishing up painting my boyfriend's kitchen, and I've updated you on my mother's health. And if she can get the feeding tube removed and the oxygen removed, then she can go to rehab. But she has to have the feeding tube and the oxygen tube removed before she can go to rehab. But we don't know which rehab facility she's going to go to, because it depends on what insurance is willing to pay. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me that you're taking an interest in my life, as pathetic as it may be.